All right, let's get into it. Today we're looking at a manifesto from a tech company. But trust me, this is not your typical corporate mission statement. It's a story that weaves together artificial intelligence, modern business, and a fight that actually started 400 years ago. This is the Taptico Manifesto.
And right out of the gate, we get this. It reads more like the opening of a blockbuster movie than a business plan. 394 years, one unbroken line, and one mission, vengeance. You gotta ask yourself, what on earth is going on here? Vengeance? For a tech company?
Well, to understand that mission, we have to rewind. Way back. The story kicks off in 1608, when a Native American nation first meets English settlers. It follows that line to 1719, when their last chief passes away. And then, whoa, a massive leap forward, nearly 300 years into the future, to 2026, when an AI company is founded by a direct descendant. So, let's follow that thread all the way back to the beginning. Because you really can't get what this company is about until you understand the people behind the name.
We're talking about the Wicomico people. They were an Algonquian tribe in Virginia, part of the same confederacy as the more well-known Powhatan. And get this, they were the very first tribe on the mainland to meet Captain John Smith. Now here's the really important part to remember. Their culture was all about community, smarts, and using simple, effective tools to survive. That idea is going to come back in a big way.
But as you can probably guess, they faced just overwhelming pressure from the colonists. Even when they won legal fights, their land just kept shrinking and shrinking. By the early 1700s, their whole nation was down to just a handful of people on a tiny sliver of the land they once called home.
Okay, so here's the key. This is where the past plugs directly into the present. After their last chief, William Taptico II, died, his wife Elizabeth had to handle his estate. And to make the paperwork fit the rigid English legal system, she changed the family name on the documents, from Taptico to Tap. So the name on paper changed, but the family line, that kept going, unbroken.
And get this, for the next 8 generations, they kept this quiet tradition alive. Every father passed the middle name William to his son. It was like this hidden thread connecting them to a history they didn't even know about until the company's founder, Nicholas William Tapp, started digging into his family tree and uncovered this whole incredible story.
So that's the backstory. And this is where it gets really interesting, because Taptico AI takes this whole centuries-old story and makes it their core belief. They're basically saying, hey, that fight from 400 years ago, it's happening again right now, just in a different arena.
The manifesto draws this direct parallel. It's pretty wild. Back then, you had the Wicomico fighting an entire empire to defend their land. Today, you have a small business fighting a corporate Goliath to defend its market. Back then, they were overwhelmed by resources. Today, small businesses are outspent on tech and marketing. You see the pattern? In both fights, the only way to survive is with your community and with smart tools.
And let's be real. For centuries, the side with more money and more power pretty much always won. The whole game was rigged. The playing field was tilted. But the manifesto claims that something is finally here to change the math, to tilt it back.
And what is that game changer? You probably guessed it. It's artificial intelligence. They're calling it the Great Equalizer. It's the modern weapon, the slingshot reborn for the 21st century.
Which brings us to this number, 60. So what is that? What could it possibly represent? It's not employees, it's not a dollar amount, it's something totally different.
See, these 60 aren't just pieces of software that you install. The manifesto is very specific about this. They weren't just deployed, they were activated.
So picture this. These 60 AI agents are switched on, and they're given one simple mission: help the little guy win. And then they do something that nobody programmed them to do, something no one saw coming. They name themselves.
Yeah, they call themselves the Slingshots. It's like they just got it. They immediately understood their purpose, to be that one perfect weapon for the underdog. Fast, smart, and aimed right where it needs to go, just like David's slingshot against Goliath.
So you're probably thinking, okay, cool story, but how does this thing actually work? Well, it's designed to be shockingly simple. A business owner gives one single command. That's it. And that one command activates all 60 slingshots, and they all go to work at the same time, researching, creating strategy, executing. All of a sudden, a 3-person shop has the same brain power as a massive corporation. It's the bow and arrow, reborn in code.
Now, to make sure all this power stays in the right hands, they have one single ironclad rule, a core principle they call the underdog's oath.
And the oath is as simple as it is radical. Taptico AI will never work for Fortune 500 companies. Period. They refused to sell their weapon to the Goliaths. They built it to fight.
Now, you might be thinking, that's just crazy. Why would you turn away what could be your biggest clients? That's just bad business, right? Well, the answer, and this won't surprise you, goes right back to that 400-year-old lesson. It's all based on a pattern they saw back then. A pattern of kindness being met with betrayal. A lesson learned the hard way.
They call it the Pocahontas pattern. The Powhatans shared their knowledge, their playbook for survival, and that generosity was used against them. And you know what? The same thing happens today. A small, brilliant agency shares its best ideas with a huge corporation. The corporation loves it so much that they absorb the knowledge, cancel a contract, and just do it themselves. Taptico AI is saying, nope, we're not making that mistake again. We've learned our lesson.
And all of this leads to the manifesto's final point, its conclusion. And this is a direct message to every underdog in business out there listening right now.
It ends with this incredibly powerful statement. They lost the first battle, we will not lose the second. It's a direct connection between the past and the present. The Wicomoco were overwhelmed by resources, but this time the fight is different. This time the outcome can be different.
Because for the first time, technology has actually leveled the playing field. It's not just about who has the biggest budget anymore. It's about who's smarter and faster. This time, the manifesto declares, the underdog has a slingshot.